It's Linda MacPhee's workshop. Here's Linda.
Hi, I'm glad you joined us because we've got a great show lined up for you today. All kinds of crazy things. You never know what you're going to see on this show, and that's why we have children watching. In fact, one woman emailed me and said her grandchildren will watch this show, and they won't watch a lot of other shows. So I think that's kind of a compliment. And men, of course, are watching all the time because I've got a project that men could easily do today. And helping me is my cousin Nancy. So welcome back, Nancy. It's great to have you.
It's always fun, Linda.
Yes, good. Yes. And we're going to make muklucks.
I know, and it blows my mind. How do you know about muklucks?
Well, I did work in northern Alberta. I did work with a lot of native people in my days as a home economist. And one Christmas, this was before I had children, I wanted to get all of these made for all my grandchildren. Well, I wanted the native gal to make them, and she said, Linda, I don't have time. I've got too many to make. She said, here's how you do it. And of course, she looked at my foot and kind of, and said this and this and this. And I thought, I think I can figure this out, but I'm going to have to take a little longer, and I'm going to maybe write a book for the next guy. And I have in turn taught a lot of...
Yes, the book is there now.
That's true.
Yes.
And I've taught a lot of native people as well how to do it. And I
well
think
done.
we're such a rich culture.
Yes, we are. We get to pick and choose from all kinds of different
you can put your
traditions
and embroidery
and
on this, and you can put, and muklucks this year are the hottest fashion item going.
Speaking of hot, they do look hot.
They are very warm and very functional.
Yeah.
But we've had gals from London phoning, and I said to them when she phoned to see if I would make a pair and blah, blah. And I said, well, where are you wearing these? And she said, well, everywhere, like to the bar and outside and inside. I wear them all the time. Like
you said, fine.
Yeah, exactly. Fine. I said wonderful. Los Angeles, the movie stars, everybody's wearing them.
Yeah,
so we're going to make them.
Good.
So we have a model just to show you.
Good.
And here's what I mean, the fashion statement.
Here's what I mean, the warmth.
The warmth. This is warm, yes. This is faux fur, and of course it's very pettable. You're going to be petted.
It feels wonderful.
You turn around and you'll see there's the boots to match.
Oh, cool.
So you're set for whatever. I mean, this is warm and functional and fun.
Okay, let's make some.
Okay, let's do it. So this is one thing that I kind of decided I was going to base mine on a felt boot.
Right.
Because...
And you buy these?
Yes. Make sure they're wool. Because wool is warm, and wool is warm when it's wet, because there is the odd time that these could possibly get wet.
Well, snow can get in.
Yes, and snow can get up and around.
Okay.
So I based them, so buy these to fit. You can make them, and in the original days they made them out of duffel. Well, you could, Nancy.
All right.
So, make these, have them fit. So put that over there. Then to do a pattern, I'd like to go, and there's no right and left. I don't know if you've realized that with muklucks. There's no right and left.
No.
You just. So I start here, and I go about 1.5 inches, something like that, and go down there, and it's keep going straight out. And then when I do that, I will fold this in half and cut that out, and that will give me.
You got one. All
Pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the bottom part of this boot. So this is what it's going to be, the part that's around the bottom and comes up. Then I need a tongue. Traditionally, there's a tongue.
Okay.
And the tongue needs to be probably about 3 inches wide by about 6 inches long.
And that's this part?
That's this part.
Okay.
So, and I just round it off the same way as I've rounded off that.
Okay.
One thing that I would say that I've learned over the years, and I've made multi-pairs of these, is that don't get this too full. It's sort of like that set-in sleeve business. If you sort of shave it off right in there,
then you don't have as much
fullness, because that's where the dilemma is.
The tough part,
so I would just kind of cheat a little bit. So this part goes on there.
Okay.
So we then have to find some fabric.
Now you told me that I can test the strength.
Yes. The needle. The key to this whole thing is a glover's needle, and this is a 3-pointed needle.
3-point. It's very
small.
Very
sharp. It'll go through skin very beautifully too. So
wonderful.
So test this. Push that through.
So is that fairly?
That's
fairly
you see,
thick?
the best hides are the smoke tanned, the native tanned hides.
Well, what about this one?
So try this, and we'll try to put this through.
That's harder.
That's
harder.
That's
okay. Well, this looks like
that's pigskin. So
but
that's going to be a little bit. I mean, that's decorative muklucks, which that black stuff. This is some cowhide, and this is tough old stuff. Yeah, well, it wasn't so bad, but...
So you would use
This is why I'm saying
tougher?
This is a good man thing. If your man's not out shooting the moose, he could be sitting there, if he can do the click thing, I think he can do this.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So you want the tougher of...
I want the easier to sew.
The easier to sew?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Not to the extreme, though, of the light one, because that's probably...
Okay, all right.
So I'm going to cut that out, and I've chosen my leather, and this is a piece of moose, not moose, but this is cowhide, but it could be moose or it could be something like that. Right. And I always use the rough side to the outside because that way it's going to have the best grip to it.
Oh, of course.
So cut this out, then we need to cut the tongue out. And I generally choose fabric. Fabric is Melton cloth. Traditionally, they were made with Melton, which is like wool, but is woven, so it's going to be a lot stronger because I'm going to only take a very little seam allowance on that. So I decorate that.
Oh, so this is your tongue?
That's the tongue.
You can't resist decorating.
I have to decorate it. You can put any number of things on it. Here's one that I've just put a piece of braid on. Yeah. But this is where the traditional, you know, in the olden days they put, well, they're still doing it, beadwork and all this kind of stuff. It could take you longer to make the tongue than the whole thing.
Right,
so you decide what you want. I also like to line the tongue with a piece of firmly woven fabric so that it's got firmness to it.
So it's not going to
So I stitch that together to this, so I've got this whole thing down, and then I go one step further, and I stitch my welt. And this welt is just a piece of leather, a long piece of leather that fills up that hole so that the snow can't get in. And
you have to have a leather needle on the machine.
No, this is going to be done by hand.
Oh, but it looks
try.
like, well, no, but it looks like it's been...
Yes. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. I did sew this by machine. Yes.
There.
Well, you try your machine.
Okay.
You know,
and if it'll go through, okay.
Fine, and if not, get a leather needle.
Hand. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I put these three together. Now I've tacked it right here, and this will tack right over to my mark on this other side.
You see the shape of the...
now you can see what the dilemma is. Yes. So this...
What does muckluck mean?
You know, I don't know.
Boot.
I'm sure.
All right.
Boot in snow, maybe? Yeah. I don't know. So I'm going to then take a couple of stitches just to secure my knot. And then I'm going to go through. And this is why I have this thimble. I kind of made a thimble with a piece of leather and a piece of elastic.
Why not an ordinary thimble?
Feels like I have a pail on my finger. That's why. But I mean,
I guess if you're used to it, it would work, right?
Some people like it.
All right.
So I'm basically going to pull that as tight as I can pull that. And then I'm going to take a little bump, and it's just a little bump.
Right.
And you just
so these will be the gathers.
Bumping along.
To make the...
You were asking what thickness of needle do you want, and some people choose a thicker needle. I personally don't like the thick needle because it takes a lot more oomph to get that needle to go through.
Yeah, it would. Okay.
I have this one done, and you can see this is really what I've done. I've just gathered it along, and then eventually it'll go straight because eventually it'll come out.
I suppose they don't have to all be exactly millimeters the same.
No, there's no way. You need to fuss.
Okay.
So that's the inside.
That's what you've just done with this.
That's
all
right. Then we flip it out, and that's what it's going to look like. And this welt can be just trimmed down because it's really just there for strength.
Yeah.
Then we're going to put it on our boot.
Okay, let's move this
and
away.
We just pull it down on the boot and see that it fits. And it does fit.
Right.
So now we're going to sew up the back.
Okay.
So that back, and I'll show you how that goes. I'll just do it this way. You're going to put right sides together, sew down there. I've just clipped it in about 1/2 inch. So when we go that way, we flip that in.
Oh, to make the back.
To make that back and stitch across the back, whip, 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 and then that will come out with that little thing at the back, like that.
Perfect.
So that is the bottom of this thing. Then basically you got to just measure. Once you get to this stage, take your tape measure, measure around, and see what kind of a top you want to make on. So I did this, so this will measure to fit on here. Right. Also make sure it fits the top of your calf, because some people have larger calves.
Right.
I put the lining on it. We will sew this right sides together up there. Yeah. We will have then a stovepipe tube that will fit right on here. I could decorate it. I could put fur on it. I could put faux fur on it. I could put braid on it. I could put pom-poms on it if you want.
I like pom-poms.
Well, they're kind of fun, but they get caught in escalators. When they started making these, there weren't escalators, I don't think. So they're not the safest, but make little ones, make big ones. I think it's so nice for little children to have them because they don't feel so clunky as those great big boots. And you've never really lived till you've walked in the snow in mucklucks.
So get the book.
Okay, get the book.
Make your mucklucks.
Make your mucklucks. Time flies when you're having fun, and we've flown out of time. So hopefully you've got an idea of how to make these, and certainly there is a book. And they are fun, and you may have to make a whole bunch. So don't go away. We've got more coming up. Well, hopefully you can get going on some muklucks. And I just wanted to make mention that I didn't do all these. These were done by Shirley Millar, who took a class from me probably 20 or so years ago. So she did a great job and lent them to me for the show. So I'll just take those down. But joining me today is Pam Tovey, and you are knitter extraordinaire.
Well, I wouldn't say extraordinaire, but I'm a knitter all my life.
Okay.
And I took muklucks from you many years ago.
Everybody took out.
And Parker.
Good. Lots of people still think that's all I do, and we haven't, we've expanded to do so many things. But knitting is so hot right now, and I mean warm as in warm, but it's such a hot topic. Children are knitting.
Everybody's knitting, from, pre-teens to grandmas.
Yes.
And as I say, it isn't just grandmas sitting in a rocking
Grandmothers
chair.
used to knit, and now it's everybody.
Yes,
and
it's the fabulous yarns that the youngsters love.
Yeah.
And I've bought a sample of all this.
Well, let's have a look. You've actually got a garment here that I think this is what makes young people want to knit, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a mohair and a glimmer yarn poncho.
And the yarn comes with this stuff all in it.
Yeah.
And there you can turn around. I mean, this is just so lovely.
Elegant.
And you could turn it around. And by the way, this is on our practicum student, Michelle, who's been working with us on the shoot. And this is kind of nice to have you as a model. So, yeah, you've done a great job. So that looks good. Actually, while I've got you here, Pam, you know what? We use some of your fancy yarn here.
Oh, yes, that's
so
right.
you can stitch with yarn, too.
You can.
So there are so many uses of good yarn.
And the ribbon yarn, you can do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you would say that knitting itself hasn't changed?
No, I mean, the stitch goes way back to whenever it started.
Yeah, lots.
Basically, the stitch, knit and purl is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's the yarns, the marvelous array of yarns that you can use.
Here is another poncho, you said. And
yes.
This kind of tickles me because there's so many different...
It has about 6 or 7 yarns, and it's just straight knitting, and it's just a couple of rows of each different yarn. I just went along in the store and picked out different yarns and put them all together.
So if a person was to buy one of these, they could make quite a few.
Yes, you
because
could.
You'd have lots of different yarns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the advantage of going around and picking them.
In your own store, yes. Yeah. But I think this shows a great...
and this is just plain knitting,
Okay, so that's just that through,
what you can do.
pull through.
Yep.
Okay.
And a basic poncho is 2 rectangles put together.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah.
Yes, there is the rectangle that way, and here's the rectangle
that way.
Yeah. So it's just like a scarf.
Yep.
A big
That's
scarf.
Right. That's
so
right.
then let's have a look at scarves, because these are the hottest item going.
Yeah, and it's all to do with the different yarns. These again are just basic knit stitch.
Okay.
Not a purl in sight, so anybody can do them.
You just go back and forth,
back and forth.
Yeah.
With about 20 stitches on, and you've got an array of. Some have 2 yarns. This has a basic, very fine yarn to hold it together, more or less.
Oh, I see.
But the yarn is
well, that way it would make your yarn go farther, too, wouldn't it? Because some of the yarns are more expensive than others, and if you kind of treat them with a plain one, that would be a good...
so, array
The one that I've got on, of course, I think is quite lovely.
Oh,
so
yes, that's a lovely ribbon yarn and a long eyelash yarn.
Nice, nice. So we've got them.
And that's another long eyelash yarn with a basic fun fur yarn.
There is no end.
And no end.
You're saying people are now hand dyeing these so that you can make... These are done commercially, I would suppose.
Yeah. But this is all hand dyed yarn. This is silk. And this is bulky yarn.
Yes.
And gorgeous colours. These are done in Nova Scotia and Vancouver. And this is silk again. Look at the gorgeous colours in that.
So when you knit something like this that's all multicolored, what happens?
Well, what has been devised is what is called swing needles, that you can use 2 ends of yarn and do one row. This is a swing needle, and we've done it on thick yarn to show it. But you can...
the swing needle means I can take this off?
Take the knob off and go knit across, move the knob to the other end and go back.
Because I remember the knob is so that you can push all this stuff.
Right, well, you don't do that.
Okay.
So you don't get big blotches of colour. You get it variegated all along. Like if you're looking at this, there's big blocks of colour. Well, you don't want that in a variegated yarn. You want it
Okay.
Even.
Okay, and
So
by
that's-
doing this swing needle is what...
That's what allows you to do that.
This was very clever, whoever dreamed this
Oh,
one up.
yes.
And of course
yes.
there's circular needles.
Circular needles. This is done on. This is an entrelac, and this is going to be turned out to be. This is 100% wool, and it's going to be felted, and it's going to be a bag.
Wonderful.
And this is circular needles.
Okay.
So you're only knitting on these 12 stitches, and then you work right across.
And it just keeps going around and
Yeah.
round and round.
And then this is a felted.
Let's look at this felting stuff.
This is a felted bag. This is the yarn that it was knitted in. And you do, I'm sure every one of us have felted something
Feels like
in
a
our
shrunk
lifetime.
sweater to me.
Yes, exactly. You do exactly what you shouldn't do.
You put it in the hot water and
agitate it, and then
put it in the
into
dryer.
cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
And put it in the cold, that's true.
And then here's another one. And we've incorporated the funfur into the top of it. And of
that
course
ever
this
look
doesn't
very-
felt, so it just stays fluffy.
It's sort of the brush cut look
Yeah,
of there.
yeah.
I love these little orange jobs. They're so
And
sweet.
guess what these were done with?
What?
Kool-Aid.
Oh, yes, yes. So they start out white?
They started out white. It was just some, one of the ladies that work with me knitted these, and she had some spare yarn at home, and she just knitted them and dyed them at home.
So did you dye the yarn first, or do you dye the project?
She dyed the yarn first.
Okay, yeah, and then you know, so it's going to be
Yes.
throughout. And
Yeah.
So, will any yarn dye or...
Only, oh yes, it will, but basically wool is a good.
Yes, something,
Yeah,
or cotton,
yeah.
I would suppose, too.
Yes, any natural fibre.
And when you do the Kool-Aid thing, you just make Kool-Aid and stick it in?
Exactly. Not the Kool-Aid with sugar.
Okay,
Just
all
the
right. You want it
Kool-Aid.
sticky.
What frightens
Okay.
me to, what on earth does it do to our insides when it does such a good
Well, we
job
won't
on
even go
dyeing?
there. We can use it for this for sure. This is great. You've got another variegated purse here, which I thought was rather beautiful.
And this is just one yarn, and you see how nice it's
felted.
felted
Yeah.
and how it knits up.
Does it shrink a lot when it's felted?
It about a quarter.
Okay, so
third
you do make
quarter.
it bigger.
Yes, yeah.
But there's no real size of
No,
that it has to
no,
be. So,
no.
so that is rather good.
And then this is some of the yarn just to show you how it's knitted when it's not felted. That's knitted
So
up
is
in
this meant
stripes.
to be felted then,
no,
or does it
no,
matter?
it's going to stay like that.
Unless you have an accident and then it's
Yeah,
felted.
that's
not so
right.
bad.
Because it's 100% wool, so it will shrink to a doll size.
Yes, and your hats.
And these, of course, are felted hats. The hats were knitted by one of my customers, and then she felted them in the washing machine.
Okay, so there's patterns to do,
Yes,
all this
oh,
kind of
yes,
stuff, and then
yes.
you felt them.
It's endless what you can do with yarns these days.
It is endless. I can see that. Have we just? I can see why. Do you have children doing this?
Yes, we have very young teenagers doing it.
Okay, and so the
Yes.
scarves would be a great
Yes,
choice.
great starting point. Yes.
Well, you can get me quite excited about. I mean, this yarn.
You see, this is done with a youngster. Did this?
Right.
Yes.
Well, that's sort of like what you've got on here, actually. If you
Oh
look at
yes.
This is.
Ribbon yarn, and
Well, I saw this stuff with the sequins in it.
Yes.
Is this what you're talking about, sort of like that?
well, no, the sequence is done in that little child's sweater.
Oh, you can put this in with another yarn.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Pam, you've got me excited. I'm going to go and visit my nearest yarn shop. There's no question. There's so much to do in so little time, and
Yeah.
time flies.
Knitting is very relaxing,
Yes.
and
I would think-
it's a thing that you can pick up and sit in front of the television and
Yes.
and relax
Yeah,
and
yeah.
knit.
Lovely, and the whole world should be doing it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you for
introducing this all.
inviting me.
Great. And don't you go away, because we've got more good stuff coming up. We have such interesting topics and interesting guests, and I know you're going to love this one because it's my cousin Nancy back again. We had I showed you how to do mucklucks.
How to do mucklucks.
But now you're going to show me about your new book.
Well, I got interested in underwear, and I know that takes a bit of a leap, but never mind, I did. And I
think
began
it's fascinating.
to wonder how that had affected our history, particularly the history of women. And as I was looking up stories about underwear and blah, 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 my son said to me one day, you know what you're doing, Mom? You're writing the unmentionable history of the West. And it went click.
That's the name of the book.
Yes. And it's not out yet. I finished it. It will be an exhibit that travels through Western Canada and other places, I hope, in 2006, along with the book. But it's right up your alley.
Oh,
Linda,
it is.
because
It is. It's all somebody
about,
has made all these
yes,
things.
it's all about fibers and
who dreams this
textiles.
up is what I'm wondering.
Well, these are open crotch panties.
Like you say, this goes around,
that's
and
a
this
very
is
small one, if you want.
very small. But this is
and you see, you would wear them that way. And when
really
I first,
pretty, really pretty. No.
When I first found these, I thought, what in the world? You know, why?
Yeah.
And
why?
then somebody said, think about it. You've got the corset on, and it's sucked up as tight as it can be.
Yeah.
You got the petticoats, you got the crinolines, you got the hoops. How are you going to go to the bathroom?
Exactly.
Hadn't thought about it before.
So
this
is...
and even then, I'm still not sure. I'm still
But it
not
makes it a
sure.
lot easier, I can imagine.
You'd still have to have a lady in waiting,
yes,
it seems to me.
So hopefully you would.
But
yes.
I won't.
Okay,
I won't
let's
tell
not
you
even
why.
Go there. Okay.
This is one
This
of the.
might be a whole new thing, though. I mean, I don't even want to go there.
No. This is one of the corsets. We can't put it on you because I think it's too big. But
okay,
this
too
is
big. I like that. Okay.
And see, the corset.
The corset doesn't.
No, it doesn't. There wasn't
Okay.
a bra attached to
Okay.
the girdle in those days, or to the corset. The corsets were whalebone, of course. This one is softer than. This is a more modern one.
Okay, but you put this thing on and you lace it.
And you laced it and you pulled and you tried to have an
Suck every bit of
18-inch waist. That was the desirable thing. And of course, then you couldn't walk quickly.
No.
You couldn't even sit slumped. You had to sit up. That's right.
Yeah.
So you see, again, are you going to have your own TV show if you can't breathe?
I see. Yes.
You see where I'm getting with this?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to sit and keep my mouth quiet because I'm in such pain, and I'm not going to say anything.
If you were to get pregnant, of course, you couldn't even go outside. You
wouldn't
were
want to show your distorted body. Is that it?
And you had to wear corset. I don't want to think about it.
Okay, the rules that we make up for ourselves. And
this was Queen Victoria's time, up to the mid-1900s, and then things started to get a little easier. And this is
I like these.
Aren't those nice?
Yes, these
those
are nice.
Just after World War I. So this is the flapper era in the 1920s, and it was an exciting era because women could feel their clothes,
Yes.
and they bound their breasts so that they were long and lean, and that was the idea.
These are very with it right now.
Yes, they are, aren't they?
So this
is rayon. You see, that was a big deal.
Yes, that was
okay.
new then.
These aren't they lovely? Oh, that's the wrong way up. It should be this way.
So the camisole
yes,
kind
it's
of a
a
thing.
camisole.
Yeah.
And I found that in Mum's trunk. And you see, a lace would have gone through there, and you pull that up.
Nice.
There's still not a lot of bras.
No bras, okay.
But by the 30s, 40s, the 30s, we started getting into pointy bras. Actually, I should say 40s. See the spiral bra? Spiral.
Yeah.
And I dreamed I climbed Mount Everest in my maiden foreigner's year. But again, it was limiting to women because you had to have a waist cincher on and this tight.
Well, the girdle thing. I mean, it was
and the
whoever
girdle
dreamed
thing.
that thing up. Yeah.
We missed the dirty 30s.
Oh, the dirty 30s with the
dirty
flower
30s,
sacks.
the
Yes, flower sacks. Yes, for sure. Everything had a flower sack.
That one's just made up for the fun of it.
Yeah.
This is real. This is a bandeau, and I have it. I should take those pins out. Whoever wore it last time
this
was
is
too
to sort
small.
of flatten.
It was
everything.
to flatten.
Okay.
And again, you see, it's flour sack.
Yes.
Flour sack was very important. This is what many women
thing,
remember from the 40s.
Yes, of course. Okay.
The
And
navy blue
goodness,
bloomers.
we're not doing that. Time flies when you're having fun, Nancy.
Yes,
we are just pretty well out of time, but I'm sure glad we got rid of all this and we are free. So
Watch for the unmentionable history.
That's it, and we're liberated. We women are liberated.
Yes, thank goodness.
We're out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. So watch me next time on Linda MacPhee's Workshop, and we'll have a lot more fun again.
To receive the companion book for this series, send $19.98 to the address on your screen or call 1-888-MacPhee.